everyone. I'm State Senator Rebecca Warren. I represent the 18th District, which is most of Washtenaw County, and for the 7 years that I've been in the legislature, I have been either the chair or ranking member of the Natural Resources, Environment, and Great Lakes Committee. I'm here today with Jack Schmitt from the League of Conservation Voters to talk about Great Michigan. Jack, what is Great Michigan?
Well, first, thank you for having me today, Senator Warren. It's a privilege to be talking to you about Great Michigan. And you were a little modest. You didn't mention that you're actually the only legislator in the legislature right now who's got 100 on our scorecard throughout your career in the legislature. But Great Michigan is a priority-setting process that we run to try to convene and bring together the environmental community, different organizations around the state that are doing work on environmental and conservation issues to come to a common set of priorities.
So what I think is great is that, in this day and age where resources are limited and we want folks to be working together, Great Michigan is a perfect example of organizations big and small coming together to focus on protecting Michigan's natural resources and environment. Give us a sense of how many folks are involved.
Yeah, that's a great point. We have just under 40 groups and organizations from around the state who work on an incredibly diverse range of issues, which is why it's even more of an accomplishment that we can all come together on a consensus set of top priorities.
That's great. And as an active legislator with lots of committees, I serve on 7. There are many others that I don't serve on every day, but obviously the Natural Resources and Environment Committee is very close to my heart. But still, there are issues that come up very quickly. And what's great is that Great Michigan provides this weekly update for legislators of what's moving through the legislative process, and it can be a very quick little touchstone for me to take a look and see what organizations have weighed in, what thoughts they have. So I appreciate that weekly resource, and it's online. Anyone can look at it.
Yeah, and that's really this is that there are a couple components to why we think this is important to set priorities. The first is to help be proactive and reach out to lawmakers, policymakers, staff. Let them know, these are our top priorities and the goals of the environmental community at large. The other part is to be a resource, like you said, for the public. Anyone can go onto our website, greatmichigan.org, and see, each week what are those bills that are moving that are most important for the environmental community, and also get progress updates on those top priorities.
Okay, so you've said the word priorities several times now. Tell us what are the top priorities of Great Michigan?
Yep, we came to consensus around 3 priorities: great energy, great water, and great land. Which I know is we could get into some more detail, and I'm happy if
they're 10,000-foot view topics. It sounds like, but lots of great things are happening, I think, in all those areas in Michigan. So give us a sense of just the types of things that you're watching, either policy-wise or the proactive things we want to be working on.
Yep. As it relates to great energy, this is a general recognition that we put in place a great renewable energy standard a number of years back, which I know you were in the legislature and a key part of making that happen. We're approaching now 2015, where our renewable energy standard, that we will have met it. We are fully on track to be meeting that, and we want to start the conversation early about how we can increase our use of renewable energy and also energy efficiency programs here in the state.
Like a lot of things, I always tell folks, social change is a sprint. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You got to keep taking steps forward. And in 2008, when we set that renewable energy standard for the first time in Michigan, which was a huge accomplishment, we were only able to set it at 10% by 2015. A lot of us thought we could have pushed harder and gone farther, and now I think you're right. Now that we've found how easily it was to meet that standard, it's time to look to see how we can do better.
Yep, and it's this is such a great example of we can point to this policy and how it's been so successful since it acted. The Michigan Public Service Commission, which regulates our energy policy here in the state, issued a report a while back, just a few months back now, that shows that $1.8 billion in economic activity has resulted from our current renewable energy standard. So just a perfect example of how good environmental policy, getting energy from clean sources, is also good economic policy.
It's definitely a win-win. So you said great water is an issue. Obviously, water is very important to us. It gives us the shape of our state, and if you grew up in Michigan, I'm sure you have memories of being on one of our inland lakes, one of the Great Lakes, one of the streams, either fishing, boating, tubing. So what priorities do you have for water now?
The water priorities all revolve around a process called hydrofracking, which I'm sure many folks are aware of. It's a natural gas extraction that uses an incredibly high volume of water and also uses chemicals as part of that extraction process and puts chemicals down into our future groundwater. Here in Michigan, we've got an excellent state-of-the-art water withdrawal assessment tool, which, again, you are a key part of. There's a recurring theme here of putting in place. And that went through, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and we want to just take another look at that now that we've had some time to see how it's working. We were really kind of the first in the country and almost the first in the world to have a tool like that, and we need to take a look at how it can be improved and worked on to better regulate this hydrofracking process that uses so much water.
And that tool, I mean, it was a very collaborative process. We work with experts both in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Quality, scientists from Michigan State University, University of Michigan, and it's an award-winning, peer-reviewed, award-winning tool. Other states have taken the model and put it to work in their state. And the goal was to sort of pay attention to large water users, to register their use, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect Michigan's water. And at the time, we thought, the gas and oil use of water was pretty low, and so we let them kind of have an exemption from this tool because there were very few of them that were using enough that they would have to register. Now we're finding that might have been a mistake. So I think you're absolutely right. It's a good time for us to go back and look and say, if you're going to use a large volume of water, whatever your process is, we want you using the tool.
Yep, that's right. And this is really an example of technology just changing in a very short period of time. When we put in place this water withdrawal assessment tool, a large quantity water withdrawal tool, there weren't oil and gas operations that were using as much water as we're seeing now. So it's just an example of technology rapidly changing, and time to go back and take a look at that tool.
Right.
So.
Well, we fought so hard to get the Great Lakes Compact passed and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to prevent diversions of water outside of the basin. We have to do everything we can right here at home to protect our water too. So I know we'll continue working on that.
Yeah.
Great land.
Great land. This is the one where we're a little bit more in I hesitate to say defensive position, but it's more just kind of a watchdog position. We've seen over the past year or two, the past legislative session, a real change in land use policy in the state. This is reflected in a repeal of critical dunes protections, an arbitrary land cap that just placed a dead cap on how much public land Michigan, we can own, the state can own. And the groups that participate in the Great Michigan process have recognized that if we don't do something to let folks know how important it is to protect our public lands here in Michigan, to protect our land conservancies, all of these resources that drive the tourism economy, drive hunting and fishing, things that are really important to Michiganders, then before we know it, it's all going to be developed or used for extraction industries. So we're working hard, and I think the two examples that have come up this legislative session that have both come through that Natural Resources Committee in the Senate, one was a bill, the anti-biodiversity bill, which I know you offered a couple amendments on, and the other was a look at dredging in the state and potentially raiding what we call the Natural Resource Trust Fund for dredging, which that fund is really unique in the country, a dedicated resource for providing public recreation opportunities for Michiganders, and we really want to make sure that that's what that money is used for.
And we have so many really special places in this state. We talk about water a lot because, again, it gives our state its shape. It's so definitional. We have, I know Minnesota likes to say they're the land of 10,000 lakes, but we've got 11,000 or more. But it's not just water. It's state forest. It's dunes, like you said, the critical dunes and other beautiful sand dunes. It's all of our different opportunities for camping, hiking, biking. And we have to, these kinds of opportunities, if we let them be lost, if we don't protect them from the development pressures, especially in the areas in southeast and southwest Michigan, where there are very little great spaces left that haven't been developed, if we don't work together to protect them, we could lose that opportunity. So
that's right.
It's a good priority. I'm glad you're focused on that one.
Yeah, thank you. So that is essentially our top three priorities. Because of the range of groups that participate in the Great Michigan process, we've got everything from organizations like the League of Conservation Voters that operate on a statewide basis, to smaller, more regional groups, Detroiters working for environmental justice, Tip of the Mid Watershed Council from up in Petoskey. Because there's such a wide range of groups, there are other issues that are really important to these groups. And so I would encourage, and we do encourage lawmakers and the public to visit that website, greatmichigan.org, where all of those other priorities are listed as well, from recycling to environmental justice issues.
Well, it's such a great point that protecting Michigan's natural resources, it's not an urban issue, it's not a rural issue, it's not just an up north issue. It really is everybody's issue. And there's little parts that we can do, whether it's trying to get as much of our energy from clean renewable sources, whether it's recycling in our own communities, whether it's getting our parks recreation passport so that we can get into the 100+ state parks and do a little something to help protect our parks. We can all do our part to keep Michigan great.
That's right. And thank you very much, Senator Warren, for taking the time to sit down and talk with me today about Great Michigan, and also for your leadership on all of these issues.
Well, it's my pleasure, and it's something I take very seriously, that when my time in the legislature is done, I hope that everything that I've done has been to strengthen Michigan going forward and to keep it the kind of place that future generations will want to live and raise their families and get outside and enjoy Great Michigan.
That's right.